What we know about these Bearcats ahead of the Kansas Jayhawks is expect the unexpected.
You are Locked On Bearcats, your daily podcast on the Cincinnati Bearcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Bearcats. My name is Jeff Carr, and I'm all Cincinnati all the time. I have worked in multiple university athletic departments, and I've been a season ticket holder for Bearcats football for 7 years now. And I'm glad that you're alongside me here today. Locked On Bearcats is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team, your Bearcats, every single day. On today's podcast, Chad Brendel from Bearcat Journal joins the show in what we plan to be the first of many team ups. We will dissect what we can expect from the Bearcats as they head to Lawrence this weekend. We decide whether the Bearcats just don't care about time of possession or not a little bit later on. And I have a few questions for Chad that pertain to Corey Evans and the basketball team that we'll get into later on in today's show, that is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Joining us, as he will frequently, the man in charge of the best corner of the internet for those of us who love UC, Chad Brendel. Chad, what you got for me, man?
It's game week. Bye weeks drive me crazy. Like, you get into the rhythm of a season, and then you just got to stop for a week, and it's annoying. And I'm glad to be back into the flow of getting ready for Kansas. This is it's a very interesting game for the Bearcats.
Are we going to miss talking about how perfect the Bearcats were and how we don't know anything about that because it was Northwestern State? I think I might miss it. No, I'm just kidding. I won't miss it at all.
I'm not going to miss it at all.
It's been a fun week.
The worst college football team I've ever seen at Nippert Stadium.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And the one play that I keep harking back to on this, and this will be the last we talk about Northwestern State, was the tackle that I think it was Matthew McDoom had over on the left side by the sideline, where he did that whole throw your body into somebody, and that never works at any level of football. But for one time it did, and he flattened the dude from Northwestern. I'm like, oh, so that's what they think's going to happen when they do that. But hey, I know
Northwest State wouldn't be undefeated in the GCL South.
That's the final word there on Northwestern State. So the question then is, what do we know about this Bearcats football team right now?
I mean, it's interesting because I think we learned a lot against Nebraska that we are tossing out because they lost.
Yes.
So, it's funny that they have the ball, they're driving. If they score and win that game, we think we know a lot about this team. But Nebraska runs a really well-disguised coverage, takes a safety from the slot, drops him in Tampa 2 into 2 deep. He comes over, he makes the interception.
Right.
And now we don't think we know much of anything about this team because what we did find out in that game was erased. And then they do it to us again, Jeff, against Bowling Green. They're up 24-3. They have the ball and a chance to essentially do exactly what Louisville did to Bowling Green this past weekend. A game that looks convincing. They fumble, Bowling Green scores. Now it's 24-10. And it kind of was a slog the rest of the way. And again, we walk out of a game that we feel like we should know more about this team. But because they didn't finish the job, we're left with questions. So that's kind of the frustrating part about where we're at right now. We should know more, but we don't think we do.
Right. And Russ and I tried to hone in on a few things, especially when it pertained to Brendan Sorsby this past week, and kind of want to ask you the same question. We were talking about, Brendan Sorsby and the deep ball and the fact that it looks like, at least to this point, I mean, you still got to make the throws, and I get it, guys, we're running wide open against Northwestern State, but he's made the throws at a better clip so far this season than he did last year. Can we trust that?
He looks very similar to what he looked like the first 7 games of last year. Mm-hmm. And again, can't finish, falls off a cliff. Now we don't think we know what we knew at the beginning. Like, through the first 7 games last year, people were super excited about Brendan Sorsby. There was talk the first month of the season. He was one of the most surprising best transfer finds at quarterback in the entire country. And then what happened at the end of the year happened, and now we question it again. So he's throwing the ball well. I think in some ways, I think the game plan against Nebraska was too timid, because they looked at the scouting report and said Nebraska's got good defensive backs. We're not really going to challenge that. We're going to play a little bit more east-west. We're going to try to get cute, if you will, which I think is part of the offensive problem for this team. More often than not, is they try to outthink it. And I think he looks like he should look. Like, I think he's got the arm. He's got the ability to run the ball that makes defenses have to respect it. And, you know, the Nebraska game notwithstanding, he's got more weapons this year. He's got a better arsenal to work with. So this is how he should look. He's a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. But what we can't have is, I think he's a rhythm quarterback. When he is in rhythm, he is really good. And we've seen it from half to half, quarter to quarter, where all of a sudden 1 or 2 plays goes wrong, he falls out of rhythm, and it takes him a long time. He is not a guy that can, like, go between the two norms. He's either really clicking, or you're wondering, what's the problem today? Why is this going wrong?
That's going to be interesting, because I don't know that I know much about Kansas either, because I wonder where we put West Virginia in this whole conversation. Like, are they just that bad? Like, they seem pretty bad. So I don't necessarily want to put all that same respect that we put on Nebraska's defense on Kansas's. But yeah, you're right. The game plan's got to work for them. On the other side of this, and looking at something, you know, I talked a lot about yesterday, the fact that Kansas was just big play after big play, and that's really what downed West Virginia. The rest of the game, they were kind of just, I mean, they didn't even really control the ball, because West Virginia had better time of possession than they did. But the big plays are what won them that game. The Bearcats have been pretty decent at limiting those big plays this year on defense. Do we trust that?
Yes, because that is ultimately the design of a 3 high safety defense, is to keep everything essentially in front of you, and make teams earn their way down the field slowly. My issue with Kansas is, I think they're fine with that. They did hit a couple big plays against West Virginia, because I think West Virginia is pretty bad. But in weeks past, except for, you know, about 30 minutes against Missouri, where Missouri's offense really took off against their defense, Kansas has been content. Jalen Daniels moving the ball in, you know, marginal increments down the field, having these 8, 9, 10 play drives. And Cincinnati's okay with giving that up. They're going to count on you making a mistake, you not being able to continue third down success rates, getting down the field. That's what skews the time of possession. Right. Also, Cincinnati really hasn't been able to run the ball like we maybe thought they would so far, or they haven't been willing to run the ball. In the Nebraska game, you have 2 really good backs, and Tawee Walker and Evan Pryor. They combined for 12 carries. Don't overthink it. You've got good running backs. Give your running backs the football. So that part, we'll see, because I do think Kansas is going to be content taking what Cincinnati will give them. I'm interested to see if Cincinnati tightens up a little bit, because they've been giving, especially on the field wide receiver, so the number 2 wide receiver, they've been giving a lot of space in that zone on third down. Mm-hmm. And teams have been able to kind of pick that apart and move the chains with some consistency. Have they maybe adjusted that a little bit, how they're going to defend that over the bye week? I think that'll be interesting to see. And they've done a good job so far this year getting to the quarterback. Some of that blitzing Jake Golday, who has been amazing, and some of it from the defensive line. So those are things that are going to be necessary to get Kansas off of their game plan.
You brought up a few things that have me thinking about this, because I think coming up next, we got to dissect. There's a few worries that I have about this Kansas game. Obviously, I mean, the Bearcats, as we said, are a mystery, so it's easy to worry about mysteries. We'll tell you why coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. These are certain businesses that really, truly make the neighborhood feel like home. They're all over the place. I mean, you think about Goodfellas. You think about a bunch of different local shops and different art shops around the town, whether it's, the sports bar that's packed with folks on game day, or even that coffee shop that knows your order by heart. They've all run on Square, and they all bring people together. When businesses thrive in our neighborhood, the whole neighborhood thrives together. And quite frankly, going to Oktoberfest Cincinnati, the whole thing ran on Square. If it weren't for Square, Cincinnati would not be as special as it was this year. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. The next event that you're going to, whether it be a game, whether it be some sort of concert, maybe even a comedy act, you got to check out Game Time for that event, because Game Time helps make the ticket buying process so much easier. Whether it is the all-in pricing that you see, there's no surprise fees. Whenever you add the ticket to your cart, you see your tickets up front, or it's your view from your seat. If you're following the Bearcats to Lawrence and going to that Kansas game, they're going to show you the view from your seat so that you know what you're getting into. And it's all on the app. You got to download the app today. That's the Game Time app. And if you use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. They love the last minute deals at the lowest prices over on Game Time. And you'll get an extra $20 off with that promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you for making Locked On Bearcats part of your day. If you are making it part of your everyday routine, appreciate you. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and join us. Make us your first listen every single day. We're free and available on all platforms. All right, so coming up with Kansas, lots of questions about. I think my biggest worry, Chad, when we're talking about this matchup in particular, is I keep looking at all three games. They all have one theme. The Bearcats just don't put a premium on time of possession. And maybe that's just because they decided they want to pass more than they run. But does that mean that they don't have an identity? And I think, does that all feed into the fact that they're keeping the defense out there just too much?
I don't think this is by design, Jeff.
Okay.
I think when you looked at Brian Kelly's teams, they didn't care. They went and scored in 2 minutes. Like irrelevant. We're zipping down the field. We're scoring a touchdown, and our defense is out there for however long our defense is out there. We'll figure it out because we're going to score more points than you. I think it's two things. One, too many 3 and outs.
Yep.
And that skews it already 2-3 minutes every possession that you don't add a first down. The Bowling Green game, 2 of their first 3 possessions were 3 and outs.
Sure.
And if you're not at least getting a first down on every drive, because they're not going to force a lot of 3 and outs, Jeff. This is not Marcus Freeman's defense, right? This is not high pressure, lockdown coverage. You're going to come on the field, and as soon as you get on the field, you're coming back off. This is not that. This is bend but don't break, 3-3-5, a lot of zone. There's going to be, especially for veteran quarterbacks, they're going to move the ball a little bit. So Cincinnati has to counter that. They can't come out there, run 3 plays, punt, and expect the time of possession to stay in a reasonable range.
Right.
So I think it's that more than anything stylistically that they're doing. Offensively, you've got to, one, be more consistent running the ball, which I think will happen. Scott Satterfield teams run the football.
Yep.
They always have. That's his system. I think they always will. As Tawee Walker continues to establish himself as kind of the head of the snake in that running attack, along with Brendan Sorsby and how well he's done, I think you'll see that get back more in a respectable range. But I don't think that is something that they're looking at and saying, game plan wise, we're just not going to care about time of possession. I think they haven't executed well enough. One, extending drives on offense, and two, getting off the field on defense. And each quarter, that gap gets a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger, because it feels like, and the numbers would show this, it feels like 10-5 every quarter. The other team's got the ball for 10 minutes. Cincinnati has the ball for 5. Over a whole game, that extrapolates out to not great, Bob.
No, not at all. And that's what they were in Nebraska, right? That was 39. It was like 39-30 to 20.
All 3 games
30. Yeah.
have been about double.
And I think that's the interesting part for me, because I saw that the line opened up at 6.5, and I knew that the Bearcats would be underdogs. That doesn't bother me. I thought it was a little bit more inflated than I expected. And I think that it did jump to, I haven't seen that this morning. I kind of feel good about that, because I think that the Bearcats could open up their running game. West Virginia ran for 195 yards against Kansas, and they were out of it. Like, I don't know if that was just they can't throw the ball and they have to run the ball, but I think that Tawee Walker could have a nice game here. And then if the defense can continue the bend but don't break style, if anything, they can cover, and there's an outside shot that they could get that win.
Yeah, I don't think Kansas, I know they put it on West Virginia pretty bad. West Virginia's offense is they don't have a good quarterback. They lost their number 1 running back. They're almost the entire team is transfers.
Right.
So they're not a team that's really going to test this Kansas team, I don't think. I like where Cincinnati sits coming into this game, but they got to show it. Like, we have to get to a point that this team knows how to get to the finish line. Because if the defense is able to continue, now I have my doubts against like Baylor and TCU and Texas Tech's of the conference. They don't play Texas Tech, but you get my point. Like, against the best offenses in the conference, you're not just going to allow them to march down to the red zone and stop them every time.
Right.
But I think against Kansas, the way they want to run the ball, the way that they want to operate this offense, I think you can get some stops. And that allows you to hang around and stay in the game and give you a chance to win. But they haven't given us any reason to have confidence that they're going to find a way when this thing gets near the finish line to get across that finish line and win the game. And that, for me, is my biggest concern. Like, when are we going to stop seeing the giant error that flips the contest? When is that going to go away?
So would you say that's more execution or game plan?
It's more execution. I mean, if you look, like, you had the 2 opportunities to get turnovers against Nebraska, and you missed them. You gave Nebraska 2 opportunities to get turnovers, and they made them. One at the end of the first half to get the extra points right before halftime, and one at the end of the game to potentially stop the game-winning drive. Cincinnati has no turnovers. Nebraska has 2. The Bowling Green flipped on the Evan Pryor fumble, up 24-3, and next thing you know, you're not in a dogfight, but like you got a chihuahua biting at your ankles the rest of the day, when you should have put that thing in its crate and put it to bed. They just haven't been able to finish. And on the road against a team that I think is right in that like same tier as Cincinnati, I think they're both probably in like tier 3 of the conference, where you've got the, TCU and Texas Tech right now, and then below them, the Iowa States and Utahs and BYUs. I think Cincinnati and Kansas are right in that tier below them. Yep. So go on the road and show you can win a game.
And this is the best chance you got, because coming up after this is Iowa State, and that's going to be
that's going to be necessarily. It's going to be a dogfight, because Iowa State doesn't run great offense.
Right.
They lost their 2 NFL wide receivers from last year. Iowa State plays a lot of close games, but you know what Iowa State does? they know how to cross the finish line. They win these grind out, barn burner, tooth and nail type games that Cincinnati just hasn't been able to handle. So that's going to be the big question is, can you take care of Kansas? And then you've got a home game against a team that I think is above Cincinnati in terms of their pecking order, but a team that's going to play close games.
Right.
Like, in a couple weeks, personally, I think this goes 2-0 or 0-2.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a 1-1 level here. You go 2-0, boy, you're feeling really good getting into the meat of the Big 12 schedule. You go 0-2, don't look at those last 5 games because they're just as tough as those last 5 games were last year. And now UCF is playing better. That's not a sure win. You better win at Oklahoma State. Yeah. If they don't win at Oklahoma State, I might sell Bearcat Journal to you, Jeff Carr.
Especially after Tulsa beat Oklahoma State this past week.
Right.
It's like,
they're bad.
Oh, yeah.
Bad.
Remember those guys. We're going to be previewing this game all week long. Definitely so many angles to look, but you're right. Execution is where this game is going to turn one way or the other. I like your take about 2-0 though, or 0-2. Like it does feel like you're not going to go 500 and you're going to make a statement or you're going to beg people to pay attention to you outside of Cincinnati if you lose those 0-2. Switching gears here to basketball, because I want to ask you something about, who is the most important addition to the team. And part of that is going to be predicting something that we can't predict with a brand new roster. But I have my own take on this already, and we'll do that next. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings that same intention to how they craft every model of every one of their cars. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. I encourage you to keep the conversation going with me after the show on Twitter and on TikTok at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. You can also find me on Instagram. Just flip that around, CarrJeff. You can also follow the show at LO_Bearcats on Twitter and Locked On Bearcats, all one word, on Instagram and TikTok as well. The socials, they're just on fire, Chad. And I know that, everybody's talking with you on socials as well. Forget, is it just Chad Brendel?
It's at Chad Brendel. We get, when they're not playing well, Jeff, we get my favorite thing. We get my favorite online segment every week is I'm mad, tweeted Chad.
Mad, tweeted Chad. It's nice to remind you. What else have you guys got going on Bearcat Journal kind of leading up to this Kansas game?
Got a lot. We've got strength and conditioning coach Nico Palizzetti on with us tonight on the BBP at 8:00 on the Bearcat Journal YouTube channel. We have the BCJ podcast with the full preview. And then just like you guys, we got a show every night, the nightcap with me and Aaron Smith as we go through all things Bearcats, all things Big 12, a little bit of national stuff as well. The Bearcat brunch on Sundays. We're Keegan Nickerson and Austin Bass doing a great job on the writing side. So we're loaded, Jeff. We got all kinds of good stuff for you.
They ever do Bearcat brunch from Hangover Easy? I love Hangover Easy.
No, that would be a good sponsor, the Bearcat brunch from Hangover Easy, but I don't think we could get Dave to Hangover Easy at 9 a.m. I don't think it would happen.
That'd be kind of fun though. Wrapping up today, I kind of want to talk some basketball because I'm really excited for this season simply because of the unknown that this roster is, and whether you're talking about the guys that they recently just got in Jordy and Lucas Atari, or whether you're talking about Buck Harris and those guys, so many different personalities, so many different talents have been added to this team. But I think for me, And especially the conversation that you got to have with him, you and everybody else got to have with him last week. Corey Evans really seems like a huge resource, a huge asset to this team, and in ways that I don't think that we fully understood whenever the position that he now has was created. Like, what was the feeling you got from talking to him last week?
So I've known Corey for a long time. I'll throw a name out at you, Jeff. I met Corey. I've tried to do the lineage of this.
Mhm.
I think it goes back to 2008, maybe 2007. The first time I met Corey, do you remember the name Shane Bohannon?
Yes, I do.
Was committed to Cincinnati. He was a Cincinnati kid. He decommitted. He ended up at Louisville, was on Louisville's national championship team. Deion Dixon dunked on him one time in the UC Louisville
He's a
series.
big part of that Louisville team, though, yeah.
Yes. Corey was Shane Bohannon's AAU coach when Shane was 16.
Oh, wow.
So that's when I met Corey. And then he later worked at Rivals as a national college basketball recruiting analyst. So I've known Corey for a long, long time. He's super sharp. Like, it just understands how the game works, what you're looking for, how to kind of piece things together in a world that everything's kind of on the fly. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of like planning to much of this anymore. You're just throwing crap against the wall for 3 weeks in the spring to see what your roster is going to look like. I have a lot of respect for Corey, and I think he's gotten better at it since going to Oklahoma City and getting to work with Sam Presti and understanding how that team was built. I think he's even better at it now here. So I think it's a huge resource for Wes to have a guy that understands roster building, but is also, because of his time in the AAU world, super connected with all the guys that make that world tick. So, and then the biggest, I never thought I would say this, but the biggest connections you can have now are the agents.
Right.
And because of his time in the pros, Corey knows a lot of the agents that are littered throughout college basketball, and everything goes through the agent now. You're not getting a kid if you don't have a good relationship with the agent. So there's 3 areas right there that Corey really brings a lot of value to the staff.
I don't want it to make it seem so dramatic, but I keep wondering this. Is he the missing piece to this coaching staff and this new the way that everything is now is so different?
Maybe ask me in March and I have a better answer for you. I don't know that it's necessarily that. I just think it's a necessary requirement now for you to have in your offices as somebody that gives you an insight into all the different worlds that make this tick. And Corey is somebody that allows you to kind of, dip your toes in the water in a lot of different fields.
I'm really excited to see how everything comes together on the court for them, because I kind of feel like, he mentioned it, especially the focus on, as you had asked him about processing and things like that, with the players with their ability to process things on the court. And he even mentioned the potential of positionless basketball. Do you think that idea could work in college? Because I haven't really seen a whole lot of teams implement that.
A lot of teams say they're positionless.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it really work in college basketball. Cincinnati tried last year. They tried to be positionless. To me, a lot of times, you know what that means, Jeff?
You don't have.
It means you're playing guys out of positions.
Right.
Right? Like,
there's another team here in town that likes to do that. These guys, the Reds. Yeah. Like
Dan Skillings was a 3, but because of the roster construction last year, he played the 2. Simas Lukosius was a 4, but because of roster construction, he played the 3. Dylan Mitchell in this age of college basketball was probably best as a 5, as a small ball 5. But you had Aziz at the 5, so Dylan couldn't slide to the they were trying. We're positionless. We got Day and Jizzle who are going to play guard, and then all these other guys we're going to put them on the floor together. That doesn't work. You have one. I hate positionless basketball, the phrase, because you have to have a point guard, you have to have a center.
Yep.
So you can't be positionless if 40% of the spots have to be filled by somebody in a position. And then like the 2 and 3 are kind of interchangeable depending on the skills, but then the 3 and the 4 can be interchangeable depending on the skills. So I think it's kind of a bastardized term for just saying sometimes we'll play our 3 at the 2, sometimes we'll play our 3 at the 4. But for the most part, you need a point guard. One of my biggest problems with the Wes Miller era, he's not had a shooting guard.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the shooting guard for Wes Miller? There's not one.
It feels like if anybody even comes close, they end up being the point guard rather than the shooting guard.
Mean, Landers Nolly was a 3-4, so he didn't fit. And David DeJulius was more of a point guard than he was a shooting guard.
Right.
I think they tried with CJ Frederick, but he couldn't stay healthy. He would have been a more traditional shooting guard, but they couldn't keep him on the court. So, yeah, no, I'm not a big positionless basketball guy. It actually kind of makes my blood pressure rise at times when people use it as a crutch, because if you actually dig down into what that means, it doesn't work unless you just have, if you've got 4 or 5 guys that are going to play in the NBA and they're going to be first round picks and they're all together in college, you can get away with it a little bit. But in constructing a normal college roster, there has to be some consideration to how does this guy fit next to that guy? And that means guys are going to get slotted more into positions than, they want to say when they're using that phrase, positionless basketball.
We'll calm some we'll calm some blood pressure down here. We'll go ahead and end it for today. Chad, I appreciate you joining me. Like I mentioned, hoping to get you on. Hopefully you didn't hate it too much, and we'll get you on here.
No, it's fine.
Every single week here on Tuesdays. And when it comes to everything that Bearcat Journal's got coming for you, whether it's podcast, whether it's writing, you can find it all at bearcatjournal.com. Chad runs it. Great group of folks covering the Bearcats for you every single day. You probably know more about them than you know about me, but I just, I figured I'd throw that back as well. But thanks again for making Locked On Bearcats part of your day. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe and like and comment. All those things are going to help Bearcats fans find this community more easily. Now, you got to check out the Fire TV College Football Kickoff. It's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans locked on. And Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12. Gary Patterson, probably remember him from TCU, and Jesse Holley join a cast of local Locked On experts, getting you ready for each and every week. It's a college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. And thanks again for checking out today's Locked On Bearcats. We'll see you tomorrow.